Can move my keyboard here a little bit. Hold on, give me a second, because I forgot to move my mic right up front and center. Some crisp sound here. Okay, we'll do that. All right. I'm holding the sign, so you can't see it, but you could say.
Welcome to the Glaziar Gamble podcast. Agatha all along is continuing, thus we are continuing. And last week, we'll just open it right away. We got some complaints in our comments about spoilers. Sorry, but we mentioned it in our last episode. This show is being spoiled more than any other Marvel project ever for some reason. We tend to avoid spoilers 99% of the time. That just didn't happen last week. We will do our best in the future, but sometimes spoilers happen. Most of the time we don't spoil.
When typically do our episodes drop?
I feel like nights? Either Saturday or Monday.
Okay, so in our defense, typically Marvel movies drop on Fridays, right? Mm-hmm. You could say Thursday night, midnight showings, whatever, but typically Friday is the release date for those. And so if you don't see that movie by, say, a Monday, which would be 2.5 days, 3 days, you deserve to get it spoiled for you. Also, I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't go see it right away, it's more than not deserved, but like, you're more than likely going to get it spoiled for you. So if our grace period, if the episode comes out on Wednesday and we drop it on Saturday, I feel like that is more than efficient enough time to see the episode. However,
she also said in her comment that she was only on episode 3, and our title and thumbnail made it so she won't enjoy it as much. I don't know. We responded pretty professionally. And,
yeah.
If you're that far behind, and those sorts of things will show up in your suggestions. I know this is a big ask for some people, but when we don't want something spoiled, you and I stay off all social medias and completely. We stay off Twitter.
If there's an Avenger movie that comes out, I delete X or Twitter.
Yeah, I mute the phrases. When Black Panther: Wakanda Forever came out, I had anything I thought could be related to Black Panther muted on Twitter until the day after we were going to see it. I had it set to mute until then. Obviously, we don't want to spoil things for people. We never want to ruin it. But again, some of the responsibility has to be taken on you. But yes, we do our best not to spoil. We'll continue to do our best. Sometimes in things like last episode, I wanted us to get the most clicks, most views, all that we could.
It actually did fairly well for us.
So I wanted Wiccan's head straight in front of the
Whoa.
I wanted Joe Locke's head. And so anyway, we'll jump into it. Welcome to the episode. And the next one happened. Speaking of Joe Locke, speaking of Wiccan, we got his background story. We got everything leading up to the first episode to now, what was going on, and how did teen/Billy get to this point? And just like we thought, we talked about this before. You had mentioned that you thought it was a combination of Billy Kaplan/Billy Maximoff.
The Mephisto line, the Mephisto kind of element to it from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is the exact thing that happened.
Right.
But it was a little different, which I am 100% fine with.
Yeah.
They didn't name drop Mephisto, but everything doesn't have to be centered around Mephisto like it was in the comics. So,
right. Nor does it have to be exactly like the comics ever.
It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be. I was talking to someone from work, and I was like, the MCU should be different from the comics because it is a completely different world. Somewhere out there is a universe where that 616 exists, and all that stuff has happened, but that's not this world. So everything is a different run, is a different universe. So I'm perfectly fine with it. Miss Marvel is a massive change that they did from the
Echo is a massive change.
Exactly. There's so many different changes, and people get upset with those.
Captain Marvel is a pretty big change.
Yeah, and it's just different, and it should be different. So I'm glad that they took kind of the source material, the same kind of concept, and tweaked it a little bit to match what they're trying to do. So
absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, let me throw this out there right away. I think this was the best or second best episode yet.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think it was the best episode.
For one consistent reason. There's obviously multiple reasons why this episode was good. So for those wondering, yes, this is a good episode. But something that's been consistent so far in this show is Joe Locke's ability to be great. Yeah. And this episode was
I'm going to even piggyback off that. I'm going to piggyback off that and just say they're the two main characters are Agatha and Billy, or Teen, and just them together is just fantastic. So obviously we give Catherine Hahn all the shout outs anyway, but like just those two being the dominant forces throughout this has been clear as day, kind of to the success of the episodes, I guess.
Agatha's like definitely Dom. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But so anyway, Joe Locke was in this. It was like his background, so that's part of why this was so good. It was just like an episode with him in it for the whole way through. It was awesome because he's very, very talented. Some other people that made an appearance, though, we had obviously Agatha near the end, still alive. So we thought, when she got sent in the mud, there was a chance that, obviously not that she was dead, but
I figured it was kind of like quicksand, like she would have kept getting sucked down and then pop out the other side, wherever that other side leads to. And I'm gonna assume same with the other two witches,
even though Agatha told Teen that they're dead.
Yeah.
So I don't trust her in any sense.
You don't see someone die. If you don't see someone die, it's number one rule of horror. It's the number one rule of Marvel. Number one rule of TV shows. You don't see someone die, they're probably not dead because the show writers can use them later. So
it's also the problem with releasing too many teasers, trailers, and that sort of thing. There is a teaser trailer that was released on the show that had potions. There was a scene with her in it that scene has yet to happen. So
sure.
We know that either obviously they could have gotten rid of it, but she's probably coming back. They're both coming back, divination and potions. The one person that was missing for a second,
episode in a row, basically,
was Aubrey Plaza, Lady,
Rio,
most likely
doll,
Lady Death, Rio.
Right.
She was also not there. So, but that's because the focus was who is Teen. It was who is Teen, who put the rune on the sigil.
Yeah,
on
the
him.
the divination which caused Multiverse of Madness, by the way.
Oh, because he
was exempt from other witches seeing his power until he broke that sigil, and so Wanda couldn't find him.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter that didn't think that through. That they were like, so in other words, Multiverse of Madness didn't even need to happen. They made a movie without thinking about it. Like, no. They thought about it. His power was hidden from all witches.
Yeah, until he broke that.
So
now everyone knows of him, and they know that he is a witch that.
And the one thing that I like, the idea that I love is Wanda is most likely, crushed in that one thing. Like, I don't think she's dead. That's why there was that spark of red light.
Right, the red, right, yeah. She could have teleported. She could have got put in a cocoon.
I think she's cocooned.
Who knows? Right.
And my guess is when he crushed that sigil in a future project where she comes through, that crush of that sigil is going to be where we see the cocoon pulse. Like, her cocoon's going to pulse.
Him?
She's going to hear. Because they said any witch with a heartbeat now knows you. Like, that's what Agatha told him.
Because he came essentially. What you're not supposed to do is put your essence into a vessel of someone, and he did that to stay going, which is crazy. But
so she said that any witch with a heartbeat will hear you. So if she still has a heartbeat, which I think she does in her cocoon, I think that break of it is probably going to be what breaks her out of the cocoon, or at least makes her want to.
Right.
But yeah, divination we saw, put that sigil on him when she was possessed, because she didn't even remember putting it on him. So it was clear like she was not even paying attention.
Yeah,
to
she hasn't been. She's cracked out of her right mind sometimes too. So,
but she drew the sigil that we saw go across his mouth. She drew it on a little like totem that was like fit in his pocket.
She could sense that there was two paths for him to take.
Mm-hmm.
One of them would be, I assume, living out his life as William Kaplan.
His lifeline was broken in two.
Yeah, so either living his life as William Kaplan and just being okay with that, or discovering who he truly is.
I took that as what happened, where his lifeline was severed, which is when Billy Kaplan dies in the car crash in the episode. Spoiler alert. After his bar mitzvah, he dies in a car crash when his parents are trying to drive away from Westview while Wanda's...
Yeah, I want to say they were driving from Eastview.
Right.
Yeah. And Westview was just kind of, all that shit was just happening at Westview, and they were like, we gotta, they were like,
there was
Westview,
an evacuation
happening.
Announced. Yeah.
Right. Like Westview was going crazy. We have to evacuate Eastview. And so they were trying to get out, and then Westview exploded. I guess the hex expanded. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, then the mom was paying attention to that, drove off, and hit a tree. Which then
hit a tree right where Billy was.
Right. Yeah, I know. When it happened, I was like, "Oh!" I was in bed, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, he's fucked. Yeah, that's how it is.
Oh,
man.
He's bleeding. The dad, like, no, he's not. Is he okay? No,
he's bleeding. See the side of your car? Like,
you hit the tree, which is not
exactly
going to win.
where
the tree wins against a car.
Yeah.
But then they have his heartbeat playing, and his heart stops. But then he, Tommy, which then we know, like, that's why I took, like, the lifeline severed, and then the new lifeline, the second part, started when Billy Maximoff entered.
Took that vessel,
the vessel, which is, crazy, because that's something that, like you said, it is crazy.
Yeah.
It's something Agatha doesn't understand how to do it. Because she was like all about trying to get that answer out of him immediately when they were talking.
Like, how did you do that? You're not supposed to. I think, well, it's because the hex expanded. So it's essentially all of that was just Wanda's manipulation of the reality. Mm-hmm. And so like that manipulation of the reality expanded. And so Billy, being as strong as he is in her mind, took, like, just straight up went into him, because witches inherently, I guess, look for that, or look to continue, like,
right,
the magical prowess. So, and then I'm sure Tommy did too. So, yeah, and I'm sure Tommy's somewhere out there too, depending on what happened or something. So,
so then he ends up being like, Billy Kaplan doesn't remember who he is, because Billy Kaplan doesn't exist anymore.
Yep, everything that happened prior to him dying, he has no recollection of, except his name.
And really, then Billy Maximoff doesn't remember anything until he up to when he came back to life.
Right.
And his whole point was trying to figure out who he is. He eventually finds out through a bunch of different things, including a new cameo.
He does some research. Yeah.
Ralph Boner makes his appearance. Evan Peters comes back, explains to him. He does some research, looks up the sigil, looks up Agatha Harkness.
Knows about runes. He's very knowledgeable on stuff. Yeah.
And he has his spell book, the release spell book that he had, and all that stuff. Finds out that he is Billy Maximoff. Which, was something that we knew at that point, obviously, but once he figured out that he was Billy Maximoff, a lot of things started clicking for him. That's when he tried to go find Agatha. And then we got to see his version of the first episode.
Yeah.
When Agatha, versus what Agatha was seeing.
Because she's still stuck in Wanda essentially put like a solo curse on her instead of the hex curse on everyone.
Right.
So,
and I laughed hard, really, really hard a couple of times there when she was in the interrogation scene from the first episode.
Yeah.
Billy's side of the interrogation is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the tone that Joe Locke decides to have his character take there. Oh my God. It was perfect delivery. I laughed so hard when I was trying not to laugh because I didn't want to wake up my family. Couldn't help it. I mean, I laughed really hard. I thought it was very funny. But then, so the big thing, all that to say, his whole point to finding Agatha, finding out who he is, why he wants to be on the road, is you mentioned Tommy's probably out there somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
He thinks that the road is going to help him find Tommy.
Find what's missing.
Find what's missing. And in his notebook, he had missing is Tommy.
He doesn't know about white vision, though.
He does not know about white vision.
So
he thinks vision was torn apart.
The first vision, which the first vision was. So, like the first vision was ripped apart and they used as parts for whatever. And then white vision was what they created from that tech. So, yeah, he doesn't know about white vision. So Tommy's really the only one left for him to go find.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which he claims that he wants, like, it's power that he's gonna find. That's what he originally told Agatha. Is all I'm missing is power.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he knew what he was doing and lying to her immediately, or if he thinks it's going to be the power to find Tommy.
Yeah, and Agatha kind of called him out at the end of this episode. He's like, you don't need power. He's like, you're not looking for mom dead, dad probably spread across the world. Who's left? So she kind of called his bluff about power and was like, you're not here for power. You're here to find.
She calls him the wrong name, but I can't remember what she says. She says like Tony or something.
Toby. Or something like that. Yeah. Toby. Tommy. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
God, she's so good. And he's so good. So now they kind of, are enemies that have to work together. But basically that connection that they've had the first few episodes, their relationship is going to kind of completely flip to what we've normally been seeing. But it is so she was like kind of inspirational to him at first, like saying like, you don't know how special and different you are. It really felt like how her character is in the comics.
Sure.
She seemed like she was gonna tutor him on using his magic, is how it felt like we were about to see. And now I kind of feel, with the direction that they're going, I kind of feel like instead of her having to choose between Rio and Wiccan, I feel like it's going to be he has to choose whether or not to save Agatha from Rio.
Sure. And they did make it a point to show that his power didn't work for a second.
He needs to have emotion. It still is emotion based.
Sure. So, I think she even said it's because you're not angry or something like that.
Because you're not throwing a little tiny tantrum.
Yeah. So I mean, if he can cook up his stuff when he's emotional or heightened or something like that, so that's something he probably has to work on too. Obviously he's like a 16-year-old witch, so he's got a lot left to learn.
So episode 7, I'm trying to see if they have a name for it. There are spoilers already out there for episode 7 because of certain companies that feel like spoiling, by the way.
Right.
But there is apparently confirmation about a couple characters in episode 7. It's not saying the name of it again. So it could be another one. I don't know why they would hide the name now.
Sure.
Yeah, 7 is to be announced still. But
that's a dumb name for an episode.
To be announced still. How fucking stupid is that? Anyway, I don't know. I thought this episode had a lot of fun backstory. Obviously foundation building episodes are really interesting. That's why premiere episodes can be so good. But it furthered more of what we got. Like, we got to see an explosion of what Joe Locke will be in the MCU. Like, I think we got to see a bigger part of Billy. And I think it sets up for showing people. We've talked about how powerful Wiccan and Billy is. I think it sets up for he's going to show us just how powerful. People are going to realize like just how powerful he is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's the strongest young Avenger they got. Like it's not close. So
in the comics, there's multiple references of other characters saying he surpasses the mental abilities of Charles Xavier.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be crazy. I hope that they're kind of leading Doctor Strange down that line with America Chavez, like teaching America Chavez, or maybe Wong wants to do that. Maybe Nick Fury. I don't know, but like one of these people has to kind of lead them a little bit, and then I think ultimately Miss Marvel will lead them, like lead them as like in the group. But yeah, Wiccan is just like it's like bringing Doctor Strange to help the Defenders, which Doctor Strange has been a Defender for a little bit, but like Doctor Strange and the Defenders would be just busted because like he's the one with all the cool fancy powers, and I think that's kind of like where the Young Avengers lack a little bit, like Miss Marvel does, but I mean like not Wiccan levels. So
no one, I mean the closest thing they have to that is if like Photon were to join,
right? Yeah,
but even then, like
she's older, like
it is more like Miss Marvel might be the most powerful one. They
there because she can create things, but Wiccan can create.
And then they're like Brainiac is supposed to be Cassie Lang, kind of, and it would be Ironheart.
Yeah, Ironheart.
And then their acrobat is Hawkeye.
Yeah, so
they're building the team, but Joe Locke provides a big thing of what they need. Ooh, I heard my kid crying. Sorry, I paused because I heard my baby crying. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know in terms of like theories or like anything new that people are trying to see. Apparently there's some like Easter eggs in this episode, but I don't really think they're Easter eggs so much as references to WandaVision. Like, that's kind of what an Easter egg is, but like it really doesn't feel like a ton of Easter eggs. There were some, but I thought more so it was supposed to be a look how badass Wiccan is and look how cool Billy Maximoff is.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think his boyfriend will make a return?
I think it's probably going to go by the wayside and kind of just not exist anymore.
Sure.
I feel like they
call
were just
him his
using
Black Heart, by the way.
Right. I saw that too. But I think it's probably just gonna not be a thing.
Do you think he was in that basically just for that? You are my Black Heart.
I think he was in there just to establish that Billy is gay.
Because now Agatha's Black Heart is Rio.
Yeah.
And then Billy's Black Heart.
But I don't think there's really that much importance to it.
I really don't either. I know people are gonna want to.
Well, yeah. I mean, my first instinct was that Rio was playing Black Heart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe he is Black Heart.
Yeah,
he's always stayed close to Billy.
Yeah,
because he knows who he knows.
Mephisto hired him to look 16 and
manipulate him.
Right.
Oh my! So here we have to go full on like bro Marvel podcast. That's actually Mephisto's Blackheart messenger, and he's been surrounding
the agent of Mephisto.
The agent of Mephisto, and he has been manipulating Billy Maximoff because he knows who he is the whole time. He's just playing dumb. That's why he was fine meeting the stranger in the covered garage, because he knows, he's like, I have powers. I'm just not going to tell him. Like, he knows he's safe. That's why he doesn't seem worried. He seems aloof because he knows what's going on. And that's why he sent You're My Black Heart, because he's sending us little hints.
That's what Mephisto wanted him to text him.
That's what Mephisto wanted him to text. Mephisto just told him mentally because, he is the agent of that is clearly who he is.
Right.
All right. So I'll clip that. and just make people completely misunderstand how we communicate. But I can't believe that he is Blackheart. That's crazy.
Yeah, you should do the whole like that's what Mephisto wanted him to like start it off. That's what Mephisto wanted him to text him. Everyone would join it and be like, "What the fuck am I listening to?" It's funny.
You should see the other stuff Mephisto wanted to text him.
File too big. What is this?
In Gucci third leg? Oh no.
It's actually just Mephisto in a Borat thong thing. My wife.
My black heart.
So now we're talking.
Yeah, this is what people came here for.
Yeah.
Is to listen to the super educated, fun theories. I have to clip that. I just have to.
Clip
that. But for those of you that have gotten to this point, I don't know why you're still here. I think these next couple episodes, now that they've flipped on us, they've given us all the backstory we need. The only thing that may be like additional
third act now.
Right. The only thing I feel like that would be an additional thing would be Rio, but in the conversation between Rio and Agatha, I think that's all they really care to give us. So I feel like it's all moving forward from here. No more really looking back super far.
Right.
And like Lilia was the cop. And like everybody was attached to Joe Locke.
Alice.
Alice was the cop. Yeah. They were all attached to Billy Kaplan before this some way.
Right.
So it's like, is this part of some sort of manipulated reality again?
Yeah, that Billy did or something.
Billy did?
Right.
Could be. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Well, Lilia the Divination Witch met him when he was Billy Kaplan.
Yep. And
Alice
was there
he
when
was dead.
He was dead.
And then the Potions Witch was just on a YouTube channel.
Right. He was watching. And Blackheart was laughing at him for watching her.
Right.
Look at her skin.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because if he didn't have any memories, right? Yeah, right. I don't know.
Just saying. Right. Does anybody watching this? Do you think this all is a manipulated reality by Billy now? Could be. Do you think his boyfriend is Blackheart? Could be.
You think Mephisto took the phone and he sent the text message?
Could be. Do you think this is the dumbest podcast you've ever listened to? Could be. Could be.
That's funny.
But yeah, make sure you let us know how stupid we are, if you've been liking the show, and where do you think these final like 3 episodes are gonna end up? Like, how do you think it's gonna go? Comment, subscribe, like, favorite. I don't know, what are other things?
That's them all.
Share,
comment,
subscribe, like it, dislike as well. Hit them both. And we'll see you again next episode. Thank you all so much for watching. You all look great today.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt.